tell anyone who gets scared by a bear in the neighborhood, call Joe Murray.
I happen to trust Joe Murray.
First time I ever met Joe Murray was at a Hooters.
I like that.
Vomit. Whoa.
All right, welcome to 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray with you today, this 4th and Friday. Big football weekend. I'm ready to go. Patriots-Bears this Sunday here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Kid quarterbacks going at it. Caleb Williams, the number 1 pick. Drake Maye, the number 3 pick. We've already seen what the number 1 and number 2 picks have done against each other this year. So I'm ready to see what happens with these two. We'll certainly get into that. We do have Celtics basketball tonight coming up at 7 o'clock. Grandy and Max will have the tip-off just after 7:30 tonight to the Green. Get back into action after they lost the other night against the Golden State Warriors. And I do have some thoughts on last night's Thursday night football game as well. And the Bruins got a big win last night. We'll touch on that. And again, we're here today until 7 o'clock. You can react. We haven't been able to do full shows the last 2 weeks. So we have an hour right now to take calls at 617-779-0985. We're on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/985 The Sports Hub, and you can join us right there and join the chat. So it is Patriots. It is Bears. This isn't your old Patriots-Bears that I can remember as a young child, which maybe I really don't, but bury the Bears. This isn't the 85 Bears or anything like that. This isn't the Bears team that went to a Super Bowl. This is a Bears team, though, that really did change the team in the offseason and then draft the quarterback. Well, they traded for DJ Moore a year ago. They had Matt Eberflus in place. They wanted to bring him back this year. They traded for Keenan Allen. They had Cole Kmet. And with the number 1 overall pick, they took Caleb Williams. And with the 9th pick overall, Rome Odunze. So overall, the team has its playmakers. I mean, you would think that this is something that the young quarterback can certainly build around. But there are some lingering issues when it comes to the Chicago Bears. And I don't know if the Patriots can take advantage of it, but the Bears will take on the Patriots this weekend without their 2 starting offensive tackles. And Braxton Jones won't play. He didn't practice Wednesday or Friday, so he is out. And then Darnell Wright also sustained an injury last week. So the Bears will be without 3 of their top 3 tackles this week. The Patriots, on the other hand, they're going to show another look on the offensive line, and Michael Nwenu might play left guard. 2 kid quarterbacks going at it this week with continuous changes on the offensive line. I personally think Chicago is going to run the ball down the Patriots' throat. The Patriots cannot stop the run. I also don't think they can rush the passer whatsoever. But what do the Patriots do today? They claimed off waivers Yannick Ngakoue, who's been a pass rusher. He's a Pro Bowler in the past. Maybe he's here for just this week. I don't know if it's long-term because I feel like the Patriots want to see some sort of youth movement this week. Javon Baker's going to play more. Jalen Polk will get more reps this week. The Patriots did release Raekwon McMillan today. McMillan struggled with injuries. He's been the last few seasons. And when he got the opportunity to play, he didn't play well at middle linebacker. So they have now moved on. They're out on Raekwon McMillan. But when it comes to this game, we'll all be talking about Drake Maye and Caleb Williams. And I'll have a breakdown on both these guys coming up in just a little bit. But can Drake Maye learn from his key mistakes from last week? He had 2 interceptions, of course, the deep throw on 1st and 10 to Keyshawn Boutte, which was the game-sealing interception last week. And the one thing you can say about Drake Maye, he's not an error repeater. At least it's something that we've seen that he could work on. He said he wants to stop those mistakes, and one of the things that Coach preaches is not to be a repeat mistake guy. And he's trying to get back out there. Caleb Williams, well, he's got connection problems going on right now with his receivers. Obviously, Drake Maye is trying to find his comfort, but Caleb Williams, he's had some big games, and I'll go over some of those numbers in a little bit here, but him and his top receiver, DJ Moore, only have 374 yards receiving on the year. Includes an 80 yards in the last 3 games. And DJ Moore was visibly upset last week on one of the final plays of the game. And they want to get that back on track. But who will be covering DJ Moore? Is it Christian Gonzalez? Is it Keenan Allen on Jonathan Jones? Where does Roma Dunze match up in this whole situation here? Without their tackles, you would think it's advantage New England Patriots. Can they get at the quarterback? The other thing is this. Do you believe the Patriots can stop the pass rush? I would love to give you a breakdown and, an analysis of this game. It's not necessarily Drake Maye versus Caleb Williams. Can the Patriots defense not give up 100 yards on the ground? DeAndre Swift already has over 500 yards on the season rushing. Rashawn Johnson's another guy who can run. But you may not see Sweat this week. Their defensive line, certainly you can probably run on them. That's going to be the key to this game. Both offensive lines are injured. Both offensive lines stink. DeAndre Swift versus the Patriots defense. Ramondre Stevenson versus the Bears defense. A nice game of the trenches. Everybody's going to want to see the deep ball, right? Caleb Williams, Drake Maye. Can the Patriots run the football this week? They should be able to. Can they stop the run? I don't think so. The Bears have won every single game at home this year. I don't see that changing this Sunday. Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. And I just quickly, the Bengals going for 2 last night. I approve of it. Yep, they lost. Yep, there were penalties. The Bengals went there last night to win the game. And when they had the opportunity, they went for it. Neither defense was stopping anyone at that point. I know Zach Taylor's probably getting some heat today, but when he talked about it, he said it himself. We came here to win. The Bengals wanted to win that game. That's why they went for 2. I don't think with 50 seconds left and 2 timeouts? What makes you think that they kick the field goal and the Ravens just don't win? You have a chance to put them against the wall and actually make a kick, and Tucker missed kicks during that game. I approve of what the Bengals done because every other team in the league would have kicked the field goal just like the Patriots did a couple of weeks ago. All right, we'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. Your thoughts on Bears and the Bears. The Bears. Bears, Patriots. Also, we get Celtics tonight as well. And the Bengals going for 2. We'll take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 90.
I actually spoke with women today.
On the Sports Hub.
Whoever they played against in preseason, it wasn't the best players on the other team.
So what you're saying is, Coach, we can't plan a parade because Caleb was so accurate in the preseason.
Well, it wasn't accurate. He's 10 for 20.
Yeah, it's like you didn't watch the 20 throws. Come on. There's a reason he's excited.
It's 20 throws, Chad.
He buzzed through them. And
you got to think how good the 10 were that were completed.
Yeah.
You know, the extended plays, the footwork.
They weren't that good. There was a couple highlight plays. But they weren't that good.
And no one's saying he might not be great. Yeah. But what we're saying is, it's just you need the context. It's like when I hear somebody's lighting it up in camp, I'm like, is he running with the twos? Is he going against the two defense? Is the quarterback struggling because he's got the two offensive line? There's just a lot we don't know.
All right, back here in 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. That was Bill Belichick way back when.
Talking about Caleb Williams. Don't think he's really ever liked Caleb Williams. But I wanted to look into him a little bit here. I don't want to do the Drake Maye versus Caleb Williams thing. But although I do think it's a great debate. If you look at the two, like who has more upside? I mean, one's 21, one's 22. Drake Maye seems to have a little bit more ability to kind of move the ball forward, whether it's running or throwing, where Caleb can make a pretty play, make a great throw, but then he has problems getting the ball downfield. So if we're just talking about moving the ball downfield, to me, Drake Maye is the guy that can do so. But upside, I think Caleb Williams has it. I think. And he's really got a nice cast of characters. I mean, imagine Drake Maye on the Bears. Drake Maye on the Bears, I think, would have some big numbers. Speaking of numbers, Caleb Williams this year is 4-4 overall in his 8 games. He's thrown 9 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He has 1,665 yards throwing and a 61% completion percentage. And I mentioned the kids are playing this week. They both are. I mentioned 21, 22 years old. Neither team's head coach, no one really looks at them as any big threat, right? Matt Eberflus is 14-28 in his career, while Gerard Mayo is what he is, right? The guy that's taken over for Bill Belichick and probably has no control whatsoever. The Bears are coming off a 29-9 loss where the Patriots lost in overtime last week to Mason Rudolph. And the Patriots situation has been horrible from the get-go. Like, at least Caleb Williams walked into a pretty good situation. Drake Maye didn't even start the first couple of weeks and has come over. But the biggest issue is Caleb Williams has 4 wins. Drake Maye has 0. I mean, the Bears' offensive line, I just told you, they're going to without their top 3 offensive linemen this week. They've used 12 offensive linemen this year. They've allowed 29 sacks. The Patriots have used 13 and allowed 31. Like, both situations stink for both of these quarterbacks. And I get it. Caleb Williams has played 8 games. He's got his 4 wins. I'm going to give you the road and home splits coming up in a minute here. But these are kids. 1 and 3. These two are friends. They like each other. I know, Skaz, I know you pulled up some sound. These two know each other from college and the draft, etc. Like, they have both spoken well about each other. But since Drake Maye took over against the Texans, he has brought a little bit of electricity to the Patriots offense. He's thrown for 770 yards, 6 touchdowns. He does have the 4 interceptions. He had 2 last week. I mentioned the strip sack as well. But it's Maye's rushing yards over the last couple of games. He broke Steve Grogan's record for most rushing yards. So Maye's at least had, relative success. Caleb Williams can at least win games and throw for over 300 yards. And he's also got a running game that does pretty well. I mean, the Bears ranked 19th in the league in points per game, 21.5 points per game. They've scored just 24 points, though, the last 2 weeks in losses to Washington. That was on that Hail Mary play, by the way. And then they lost to the Cardinals last week. And Caleb Williams does not have a touchdown in either one of those games. He was sacked 6 times last week and threw for 217 yards. Like, it's intriguing to watch both of these players, but there's so much going on around them that doesn't work. I just don't know if we can evaluate who they are yet. So in a game like this week, this is why I look at the running game. I think DeAndre Swift should be able to run on the Patriots. I just already went over this. But the Patriots have allowed the last 4 games, 192 yards, 171 yards, 112 yards. And then the Jets, and then Tony Pollard last week, 136 yards a game. The Bears running game, 112 yards per game for them. Swift, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. But he had 129 yards against Washington. And all 4 of his touchdowns have come the last 5 games. So I bet, if you want to bet a prop, DeAndre Swift, anytime touchdown and go over 100 yards. Can the Patriots running game get something going? Ramondre Stevenson has 82 yards on his last 37 carries. That's over the last 3 games. The Bears' run defense gives up about 131 yards per game. It's probably going to give the Patriots some fits, though. But it's not about the kids as much as I would like it to make it about the kids. This is an opportunity for both. I think as far as yards per game, Drake Maye, I think, is at 213, where Caleb Williams is about 208. But the wins, I think that's what I'm looking for. Drake Maye's got the big wow plays. And his turnovers, I don't really care about or blame him. And the sacks, what can you do? The run really doesn't do anything either besides move the ball into scoring territory, which you need, of course. But can Caleb Williams settle it down, get his connection back with DJ Moore this week? I think it's more about the Bears than the Patriots this week. And I've given you these splits again before, so I'll do it again. In road games this year, Caleb Williams is thrown for 885 yards and 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's been sacked 20 times in those games. He's just a much better player at home. 780 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 9 sacks. Maye also has the edge in rushing, 56 yards per game. But Williams, though, can run the ball as well. He's got about 27 yards per game. So, Skaz, I don't know your thoughts on Caleb Williams this week versus Drake Maye. I think it's more about I would like to see what happens in the trenches because both offensive lines stink. But what is this Michael Onwenu going to left guard thing? Are they serious about this?
I got no answers for you on that one, Joe.
Who makes these decisions? I asked last week. You know, they finally got a crew together, and then they change it up again. And it stinks. So now they're going to do another one? Who makes these decisions? But anyways, Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, who do you think has the advantage this week?
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams has the better team around him, so that obviously gives him the advantage. I am a Drake Maye believer, but I'm also not one of these people that's completely dismissed Caleb Williams as a NFL quarterback already. I think he has a terrible offensive line and a terrible offensive coordinator, so I'd like to see Caleb Williams with a better offensive line next year, and I think they clean house on that coaching staff. It's not working. The Eberflus experience is not going well. I was shocked they brought him back in the first place. I think that was a mistake to bring him in with Caleb Williams at all. They should have gone with a younger offensive mind right out of the gate. But for the Patriots, it's just another learning experience for Drake Maye on the road. And I think the Bears defense is okay. I think their secondary is pretty good. It's not the Khalil Mack, Lance Briggs. It's not one of those front 7 defenses that you're used to with the Bears, but they have a pretty good secondary. And any secondary is going to look pretty good against this Patriots, wide receivers. So it's just another uphill battle for Drake Maye on the road. I expect a low scoring, ugly. I mean, it's a Patriots game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be low scoring. That's just what they are this year. And you go over the Caleb Williams numbers at home. I think this is a really tough spot for the Patriots.
Yeah, I don't like it. The line's 6. I don't like it. Plus, just the way the Bears play at home. I think it's going to be I just look at it. DeAndre Swift slowly starting to get going again. All his touchdowns the last 4 weeks. While isn't that funny? Caleb Williams' numbers are going down, but DeAndre Swift's numbers are slowly going up. Huh. So are Drake Maye's numbers really high right now or impressive because they're not running the football? I think that I'll keep saying this. The key number for Caleb Williams is 4. He's got 4 wins. I would like to attribute some of the success that Drake Maye is having right now to a win. I don't see it this week, but can he show us a little something? Maybe mix in the running game and establish that and then hit a big play? That would be progression to me. That would be development, considering forcing the ball downfield late in overtime as well and led to an interception. I want to see development from Drake Maye, and I want that development to lead to wins. Just think it's going to be tough to do it on the road this week. All right, we'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. You can call in if you get some thoughts on it. I did want to get into the Bruins a little bit. They had a big win last night. Oh, and if you want to talk about the 2-point conversion, you can, because I loved it. I loved it. I'm in the car like, yes. And what I first liked about it, by the way, they went out to the line and they got a look. Then they called the timeout. It's like at least they put the threat out there at first.
I hated that they called the timeout, though.
So you think they should have went for it right away if they were going to?
Had Jamar Chase one-on-one. I think you go. If you're going to go, go.
Okay, that's a good one. If you want to battle that one, that's fine.
Don't give them a chance to set up.
Don't waste the timeout to set, exactly, give them rest and all that to set up a defensive play.
I think if you're the Bengals, it's Jamar Chase's football game. Throw it to Jamar Chase one-on-one and deal with the results.
What I mean by, though, them doing it, I know the Patriots didn't have a time. To use the Patriots example, they didn't have a timeout. They just ran around and they weren't ready. That's on them, so I'll leave it at that. The Bucs, though, could they have done it? I don't feel like taking a timeout in that spot would be good either, because Spagnuolo would probably come up with something, right? That's probably something, Skaz, that I would love to know what teams do. Like Belichick, to give him credit for something, because people have a hard time doing that, especially against the Seahawks in that Super Bowl. He never called the timeout. Everything that happened just without setting up. It was something they practiced and people knew about. They didn't need to call the timeout and reset and set it all up and script it. So, yeah, that's a good point on that one. And who was stopping Jamar Chase? I just looked it up. He had 264 yards receiving last night. Demario Douglas has 300 yards on the season in 8 games. I don't want to compare the two because I can't. He had a monster game. And what's funny was when we were leaving last night, he scored a 74-yarder. We didn't even see it. We were leaving the studio and it happened instantly. All right, we'll get a look at the Sports Hub headlines here. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Celtics looking to get back in action tonight. They take on Brooklyn. They are off that loss to the Warriors. No Jaylen Brown tonight.
Up it. This one won by Backlund. Anderson will go behind the net here for the Flames. Elias Lindholm bumps him off the puck. In front for Marchand. Point blank. Score on the rebound. Wolf made the initial save. Marchand following his own shot. Wins it for the Bruins 4-3.
All right, back here in 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. We'll do Joe Me the Money later on tonight. So we'll be on post-game Celtics. Probably have about an hour or so, maybe. And I got some picks for the weekend. College football, NFL, you name it. I'll have those for you hopefully 10:35 tonight. Just depending on what happens with the Celtics in Brooklyn. That was the Bruins last night with a 4-3 overtime victory over the Calgary Flames after surrendering a 2-goal third-period lead. But they did win the game. They're now 7-1 on the season. But I blamed Jim Montgomery about a week ago for toying with the lines. He put his entire fourth line on a separate line. They got roasted 8-2. Roasted. And I thought at that point he's done everything he could. I thought he was going to get canned. I really did. But you know what? They responded. They got 2 goals against Philadelphia, and then they beat the Kraken. But they only snuck out 2 goals in each game. Then they get shut out by Toronto, and how they bounce back from this. And this, while Pastrnak was benched in that third period before the Toronto game. So what happens in this one? They got Calgary at home, Korpisalo in net, and he tinkered the lines again last night. He reunited David Pastrnak with Pavel Zacha, and they put the newly signed Tyler Johnson, made a move, helped out last night's guys. But it worked out. It worked out. The move paid off. Pastrnak and Zacha both recording multiple points in the game. And they had a nice little 3-1 lead going into the third period, right? That second period, the Bees looked back. Well, looked back and on track, I should say. They also moved Charlie Coyle down to the third line with Cole Koepke and Matt Patra. I thought they did pretty well last night. So those moves worked. Credit Jim Montgomery. For a guy who's on the hot seat, absolutely made moves last night that impacted the game. I mean, it's got the team going a little bit. Like, right? A little bit of a lightning bolt. But the 2 third-period unanswered goals, and then Nazem Kadri tying the game, vomit. Brad Marchand had a terrible, terrible play, terrible penalty. And it had a lot to do with the momentum for Calgary coming back in the game. It did. They go to overtime, and what happens? 20 seconds left. Brad Marchand wins the game. You heard the highlight coming back here. So it was a bit of a redemption for Brad Marchand last night. He's now, 79 game-tying or game-winning goals in his career. He's moving up the ranks now as far as points and goals in Bruins history. 79th, as we mentioned. He's now 3rd in franchise history. He trails Johnny Boychuk and Patrice Bergeron when it comes to game-sealing or victories, game-sealing or game winners. So the Bruins will take on this week Linus Ullmark. So TD Garden tomorrow night here on the Sports Hub. Jeremy Swayman versus Linus Ullmark. I'll have my popcorn ready, Skaz. Is it a rivalry? Is it the team versus Linus?
They gonna hug afterwards?
Whoa. No, they might. I read a story today. Goalie hug? Jeremy Swayman offers tease for Linus Ullmark reunion. They'll face off this week. Right? They'll face off the 2 goalies. It was always organic, that's for sure, said Jeremy Swayman. But I guess you'll have to wait and see. Boston and Ottawa need a win Saturday to stay afloat in the Atlantic Division. And the game, not for nothing, though. It is a pretty important game for both teams, considering where the Bees are at. But does Swayman get side? Is there something brewing there between the two of them? Get it? Something brewing? Win the game, Swayman. Stop. No one cares about your stupid goalie hugs anymore. Oh, he's got... Oh. Stay tuned. Might have something to offer. No, win the game. Win the game. Oh, speaking of that, I thought Korpisalo was... He got one goal I thought was soft. Didn't like the first one. I think Korpisalo, besides that first game, I think he's been exactly what the Bruins have needed. Do I think he's great? No, but is it better than what was advertised? Absolutely. Skaz, I can't think of a more non-talked about story than Lena Solmark, Jeremy Swayman this week, right? Like the Celtics Warriors were a big story this Drake Maye, Caleb Williams, right? Big story this week. You know, we got the Chiefs winning on Monday Night Football, and then last night what happened on Monday. All those stories bigger than Lena Solmark's return to Boston. I figured that would be a bigger storyline than what we have here. Maybe something comes out in that game. I did give the numbers, though, but Ullmark's had a pretty decent year. But last year, it was the Bruins' identity, their goaltending. Korpisalo did his job last night. Let's see what Jeremy Swayman, the $68 million man, what he can do tomorrow night against Ottawa. Team needs a win. I'm telling you. I want to, I'm going to look up the odds right now. Will the Boston Bruins make the playoffs? I'm wondering what that bet is. I'm going to pull that up as I dance here for a minute. But Skaz, do you think they make the playoffs?
They should. They're in a weaker division. They have a good roster. I think it would be a massive, massive failure if the Bruins didn't make the playoffs.
Right now, Boston Bruins to make the playoffs, -140 yes, +110 no. So, to your point, too much talent, right? That's why the VIG's a little high there at -140. But that no +110's in reach. I always use Thanksgiving. That's the date I use. I know a lot of other people sometimes think November 1st. I still will give them till Thanksgiving. But beating Ottawa tomorrow at home after an overtime win, after Montgomery's pushed the right buttons and your captain's now got you going, and you're going against your former player, can you come out a little excited tomorrow night? That's what I ask for. Can you at least come out motivated? I got some thoughts on the Boston Celtics coming up next as we take you up until 7 o'clock. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
just keeps getting better.
Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
But they will lose tonight at home. Kyle Anderson gets the free throws. Pritchard from half court trying to send the folks home happy, misses. And that will do it. The Golden State Warriors have regrouped, they have retooled, and they have come out hot. They come to Boston and beat the Celtics. The final score, Golden State 118, Boston 112.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. We got Celtics in Brooklyn tonight. This a yawn to me tonight, this game. Should we assume Neemias Queta's starting again tonight, guys? I don't know. Guess you're going to have to listen to the pregame show, which is coming up in about 8 minutes here with Grandy and Max. I think Cornette's doubtful, right? We don't even know if he's playing. So I don't know what the lineup will be tonight, but I assume it's Neemias Queta starting. That would at least be my guess on that one.
Luke Cornette is out.
Luke Cornette out. So they're going to be a little short tonight, huh? Let's see who Brooklyn has. Brooklyn Nets, because I. Going to be honest with you guys, the Brooklyn Nets have made a lot of moves. I'm not exactly... Okay, so Dennis Schroeder, huh? Remember him? Schroeder. Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Cam Thomas, a guy that he'll be shooting the ball tonight. Cam Thomas, not a shy shooter, that's for sure. He is a volume shooter, sometimes a volume scorer.
So their bigs are Nick Claxton?
Yeah, they have Bojan Bogdanovic too, but he's out,
he's
I
out.
believe.
Yeah, he's out.
Day'Ron Sharp is out.
He's out too. Walford's out.
But they
what about Ben Simmons? What's his deal?
He's played limited minutes. I think he's been okay. I mean, he'll never be what he was projected to be, but yeah, good to see him out there. I guess.
Ben Simmons, what a bust. Noah Clowney. I'm just looking at some of these other names here, like. This is who, like, Giannis could go to. Like, who on this team would the Milwaukee Bucks want? I know you mentioned Cam Thomas.
Well, they have a ton of picks because they have all those picks from the Knicks.
So it's all about the picks.
All about the picks. Always.
It's all about the picks. Oh, man. This team stinks. What's the line tonight? It's got to be 13. Let me pull it up right now on draft.
Joe Murray on the money. It is 13.5.
Oh, that was just an eyeball thing. I'm very good at the old eyeball test. Total 221 to the Celtics care tonight. See, this to me would be a Brooklyn spot. Celtics off a loss. No Cornette. They're a little light. Got to go with a short bench. All they got to do is sneak out the win. Also, who's on deck, Skaz?
The 2-6 Milwaukee Bucks.
It's still a look-ahead game. And if you think, listen, the Celtics should roll the Brooklyn Nets any night of the week, except for this night. Unless they want to avenge the loss from the other night and go into Milwaukee. That's the way I look at it. I did want to bring up some storylines regarding the Celtics that are out there right now. I know Chris Forsberg had these. His head title here is Six-Man Quest. And it's in regards to one Peyton Pritchard, which, I don't know, I told you, plus 4,000. Now it's plus 400 on DraftKings. Buddy Hield plus 500. I wish you heard me back at the beginning of the year, Mr. Forsberg, when I said plus 4,000. Pritchard having a very efficient season. Do you know that he's averaging 139 points per 100 shot attempts? It's the best among all the guards in the league. And he's 56% from three. Maybe he goes off tonight. Speaking of that, our intern, Joe Medeiros, wrote an article about a campaign to get Derek White to be an all-star. And Derek White's had a 3-point barrage. He had 16 the other night, right? White was averaging 4 3-point attempts per game in his career. Now it's 9.6. Talk about letting someone just shoot away. White's hitting a career best 42% from 3. He's also averaging 19.8 points per game. I think he's flirting with an all-star consideration. He's reached double figures in 3-point attempts in 5 of the 9 games this year. We mentioned the 16 the other night, but he's picking up a little bit more with Jaylen Brown out. His scoring average is up almost 5 points per game from last year. And this is all because of his 3-point shooting. He's tied for 37th in the NBA in points per game. Last